We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my channel, Ron Harris Muscle. Joined today by the one and only Big Mike Cox in Florida, formerly of Cleveland, Ohio. And Mike, first of all, thank you so much for making the time. I know this was kind of late notice, but this is something we both, this is a show we both lived through. We both were huge fans of the sport at the time, and we were part of the whole controversy as far as people agreeing, disagreeing. I did a video about the 1980 Mr. Olympia. Didn't get a whole lot of reactions because you'd have to be kind of old to be still upset about that one, I guess. But
right,
this was something people still talk about, and this was 27 years ago. First of all, why do you think it's still such a big issue?
Bro, we've never that I know of seen a show, a Mr. Olympia, where the scores changed after the event, right? Now, if that happened now, right, and say like Hottie, or just say, like Samson and Andrew changed places, people would lose their freaking mind. But dude, we didn't know about this till a little bit later. And you're right, it was awesome about this. I've been able to ask Sean Ray about the show and Paul Dillet when I saw him last year. And it's just, they're just baffled, bro. But it's just, this is the most unique, other than 80 and 81. This is the most unique Olympia we've seen so far.
Yeah, you asked, I had Milos on a couple weeks ago, and I solicited questions, and you had me ask him about that 97 Olympia because he was in that show. He was 10th. Milos was 10th that year. And so at the show, the top three did not change from announcement to 2 hours later. So top three stayed the same. It was Dorian, Nasser, and Sean. But at the show, the people in the audience heard fourth place Kevin Levrone, 5th place Paul Dillet, 6th place Lee Priest. And then at the banquet, 2 hours later, Wayne D'Amelia came up to the guy and said, by the way, we made some mistakes with the scoring, like it's fucking quantum physics mathematics or something. It's just like seven little numbers you got to add up. I could even do that with a calculator. So now, fourth place changed from Kevin moves up all the way from 6th place to 4th. Paul Dillet, so fourth place becomes Paul Dillet. 5th place becomes Lee Priest. I'm sorry, no, that was the original. Kevin jumps all the way up from 6th place to 4. Paul drops from 4th to 5th. Lee Priest gets knocked out of the top 5 completely. So it just seems like that was an era. And Milos, I can say it because I'm quoting Milos. He said scores were changed back in those days. Wayne D'Amelia did whatever the hell he wanted to do. I don't know if he was operating like a puppet of Joe Weider or if he was acting on his own. I have no idea, but it was you and I both went through many years where the judging was sketchy, it was shady. There was a lot of fuckery going on.
It's awful. Dude, right, and here's the thing about what's also special about this show, and I know Giles and George White vehemently disagree, right? Yeah. Dorian Yates should have lost this show, Ron. And I was thinking about this earlier today. Imagine if Derek Lunsford shows up in October with a torn bicep and a torn bicep. It would probably be ridiculed, right? And he would definitely lose.
Yeah.
But we saw a champion, right? And Dorian, this show, listen, he was big. Granted, Dorian's always, but the washed out, no separation in the leg, torn muscle. He even said, I remember in an article in Flex, afraid that was going to rip off the bone when he hit his back last spread.
Yeah.
So it had to be frustrating for these guys, right? And Nasser this year held it, right? So he was second this year. He went on. And of course, this is the ninja, right? So,
yes,
we're missing Flex, but that's another element to the show. But Nasser put his stamp. I'm pushing Dorian because listen, the year before he failed the drug test at the '96 Olympia, so he had something to prove. And again, he took second to Flex at the Arnold '97. So this is kind of vindication for Nasser this year. Man, he should have been Mr. in 1997.
Okay, well, let's look at them individually before we get into any comparison. So here we have Dorian Yates, 6th and final Olympia win. Last time he would ever stand on a bodybuilding stage. Like you said, it was his right tricep. No, his left tricep, because every pose that he did was from the other side. So that tricep that we're not looking at right now was hanging on by a couple little threads. He was afraid it was going to come off the bone if he popped it. But here, look at the bicep that had torn a couple years before. He never had it repaired. He's got half a bicep. Condition, we really can't go by this. I've got some pictures coming up that show the condition was a lot better than what we're seeing here. But him and Nasser were, I'd say the condition was pretty similar. But yeah, you got torn.
Right, very.
This is when they still had a symmetry round, I think, right?
Yes. And he got straight first in the symmetry round. Because it's over, Nasser's in the best shape, but it's over Sean, over Paul, over Lee Priest. So, the symmetry round was really just kind of let's look at him, but nothing really changed, right? So, but Dorian is huge. That's a lot of freaking muscle, but that's not. He set the bar in 1993, Ron, and that's the Dorian that we were always waiting for. 93 and 95 were just lights out, and that's what we expected. But we didn't know going in what he would look like. We didn't see anything leading up to the Olympia,
right?
And had to call Gold's Gym to find out who won the show. So it was a different time, right?
Yeah. So the other thing that we'll see in some of the comparisons, he was having a lot of trouble with his midsection at this show, Dorian. He was having trouble keeping it controlled. It was protruding at times in between poses. I'm almost sure. I'm not going to ask you to confirm. I think this is the only time he used insulin was for the '97 Olympia, and he regretted it.
Yes, that's thinking as well. Yes.
So yeah,
and it works. It didn't work for him, right? But remember, back then, guys, Olympia wouldn't lose the Olympia round, right? Haney should have lost in 90. These guys, the Olympia didn't change hands, so guys now are like, oh, it's a different champion, but we're used to legacies like Haney, Dorian, Phil, Ronnie. That's what we're used to. So, but this was definitely one of those. I'm sure my UK brother will disagree. This was one of those gifts that he got, in my opinion.
I mean, I think Haney got a gift once or twice, at least once. I think 89 and 90, he was both 89 and 90. He was pretty much off. Dorian, you could make the argument Sean could have beat him in 96, I think it was. Nasser could have beat him here.
In 94.
Yeah, that was when he first tore the bicep? It was freshly torn.
So the 94 he first tore, freshly torn. I said, man, Sean nailed it that year. So
Ronnie had a couple of
even Ronnie.
Yeah.
But it's funny, they punished Jay, right? Like Jay got a gift the 1 year, then they took the title away, but he got it back. But it's just, it was a different era, right? It's just people don't realize how different the judging was. We can predict shows back like this.
You know what? They used to have a phrase back then to sort of justify letting Mr. Olympia keep the title even when he was off. They'd say, you got to knock out the champ. Like he has to show up looking like absolute dog shit or else he still keeps the title, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. We don't see that anymore. We've had 5 Mr. Olympias in the last 6 years.
And I don't think we'll ever see an era where we'll have like a guy win 5 or 6 in a row. It's just not. We're past that. I think the judging is a lot. It's just fair. That's what it's fair now, right? It was. Look at that.
So this is I don't know if this is the best he ever looked, but it was pretty damn close. He would win the Arnold 2 years later. He'd been third before at the Olympia. This is the closest he ever came, obviously. And yeah, we still have people over 25 years later saying he was the rightful winner that night. I'm trying to pick him apart. The only things that I see is his shoulder. He has these massive arms, but to me, they look like they were shot up. Like here you could see a lack of separation in there. I think he was notorious for site injection. I don't think he denied it or anything. And
yes, he was.
I don't like to speak ill of the dead. He's not here to defend himself. I have nothing against Nasser. I was not a massive Nasser fan, but I didn't hate him or anything.
No.
But huge guy.
No.
And structure.
And this was before the shoulders got all funky too, right? Like a couple years from now, the shoulders started just getting control. The biceps did, but people criticize him for a lack of back detail, but it is what it is. And like now, Ryan, it's just we see guys winning shows that don't have backs or great backs, right? So it's just, I think maybe one of those things they a knock they give them to justify not winning, but judging by today's standards, this would have been a winning physique. But again, it is the the biceps a little funky, and it's just it's guys did back then, and it was remember that pumping pose was just coming out too, or that and the cycling were popular, but these guys, bro, they nail it one time in their career, right? Like most guys have a signature look that we always think about, and this was his. It was very and listen, in person, this dude was impressive as shit. It's just sometimes I think guys now think, oh well, they weren't that impressive, but when you were there, saw them, it was just next level. It was next level size with Nasser, bro.
Yeah. So now we got some pictures. These stay up for
wow.
These are lengthy. So this gives us a little chance to really nitpick. Obviously, Nasser destroys him in this pose. I think that was the argument is, well, Dorian won that show from the back because from the front, Nasser had him. And that bicep should have been repaired. The midsection of Dorian is protruding a little bit there, while Nasser's is flatter. Even the legs, Nasser's legs look better to me. But we're not, we haven't
cleaner. He's got a cleaner physique.
Yeah, and I'm not making any verdict yet, guys. So don't get your panties up in a bunch if you think I'm slamming Dorian. At some point, me and Mike may agree to disagree as this goes on. So lat spread, I don't know, man. That would normally be Dorian a great pose for Dorian too. But look at the belly, look at the midsection.
It's distracting, right? Like that pose for Dorian is usually lights out, game over. 95, he killed people that shot. This shot, not sure. You know what I mean? So in Nasser's condition, that pose was better.
It's hard to say. I think Dorian's condition was pretty close. It's hard to say. At one point it's going to show a picture that was like a close up of Dorian where you see the conditions much better than. But even in this one, I don't know. I don't know who I'd give the side check.
Pose, man.
I'd say they're pretty much equal.
It's hard to not look at Dorian because he's got so much muscle, right? And he's got that dense muscle look to him. But it's just, I don't know, Ron. Like that pose.
It's that belly. It's the midsection. He could not keep it in.
You see it?
Yeah.
No, and it's distracting.
So here we go. So that's a close up. You can see it. That's what the condition really looked like. It's about some
condition. And
go ahead.
He absolutely nailed that. It's just you're nitpicking these guys apart, but it's easy for us to do now. But that's the I don't know.
Yeah, the rear double
back, isn't it?
Yeah, the rear double looks rough on Dorian because his biceps are. You can barely see his biceps from the back. Where Nasser's got these big peaked biceps. It's a back shot, but it's a bicep shot too.
Nasser's back wasn't that bad in that shot either.
No. Dorian's was drier. It was more detailed, but Nasser's back wasn't as bad as. I'm sort of remembering things through a filter, and I keep saying, well, Nasser's back sucked, and now I'm looking at it. It didn't suck at all.
No, it was just that was his main knock because he wasn't Ronnie or he wasn't Dorian, right? So, and that's what all they said held him back, but it ain't that bad. No,
not at all. I'm gonna tell Giles we're on if he wants to join us. So there's this shot here. Your Dorian, a knockout shot for Dorian. The rear lat spread. Nobody during his reign beat him on that. Nasser's posing here. He's hunched forward. He's actually making his lats look a little less wide when he does that.
Yep. But Dorian was that's a crazy pose for Dorian. The black and white is even better.
Yeah. I mean, some of these pictures.
Damn.
We have these high resolution pictures and everything. We're so spoiled now to go by. But even here, you can see.
And we had to wait, a month to see these, a month and a half to see these.
But so they made a good observation. Say, there was these like 20-page contest reports, incredibly detailed, like 100.
McGuffey, he was our eyes, bro. Like he can remember it was so detailed in the writing that you were there in the audience because of that. And that's what you remember most, is that, you know, where you were reading that magazine, you know, where you were reading that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let's try. This
Oh,
is
wow.
This is not Gilco footage, unfortunately, but we work with what we got from the 90s here. So look at that. Look at his Dorian's stomach, which
Yeah.
just the obliques are spilling over the trunks. He was just looking blocky, and he was getting a gut. You know, he knew, but to his credit, he knew this was it for him. He knew he was not getting better. Things were only going downhill from there. He got out while he won this by the skin of his teeth, as we say.
And I think he knew, Ron.
He knew that if had he come back looking like that or worse, 98 Ronnie, 98 Wheeler, I think he might have been third place in 98.
He is just with that kind of training, that heavy, strict style of training, it just catches up to you. You can't. Eventually, you're gonna like burn out from that and get hurt, and that's what happened to him. It's great for building muscle, but like that's hard on the body, bro.
Yeah, you know, he did say, because I did his MD column with him for about 4 or 5 years. One of the things he regrets is that he didn't pull back at times. Like right after a show, you know, Ronnie would take 3 months off from the gym, wouldn't touch a weight, off the gear, didn't slam as much food, but most importantly, he took 3 months off weight training. Dorian would be back the very next day, going crazy in the gym, trying to catch that rebound and put more weight on for next year, more muscle tissue. And the way he trained, so heavy and so intense, you know, he'd already torn a quad before he turned pro. I don't know if you knew that, or actually it was like a hip flexor or something. He never squatted again after that. He tore that bicep only a couple years into his Olympia reign, tore this tricep. His pro career was very short. His first pro show was 1990, and this was his last pro show, 97. Compare that to Dexter went from 2020 to 2022.
I mean, he lost 2 shows to Momo and Lee Haney. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's, and you know, Olympias, Grand Prix shows, Night of Champions. Those are the only 2 bodybuilders that beat Dorian Yates. So he was no joke, right? But when you're looking at this, to me in this pose right here, Sean and Nasser, your eyes are drawn to them, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'm obviously biased. Sean's my dude, but you know, and I wasn't a huge Nasser fan. R.I.P. Melissa Coates. This is some great footage, man. This takes you way back, doesn't it?
Pico, that was the kind of, see that jacket looks ridiculous now that Pete Gronkowski's wearing, but back then that was cool. That was a cool thing.
And the jeans with the sports jacket, bro. Remember that? There's
the Dabish brothers that started Powerhouse.
Oh, that was great times, man.
How many people?
And this was a 2-day show. Remember, this is one of the first Olympics that was a 2-day show.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, I should have been at this show because I lived in Los Angeles at this time, but I didn't go that year.
Long Beach.
Yeah, because we weren't covering it. The ESPN wasn't covering the Olympia anymore, so I wasn't going to pay for a ticket. I was too cheap. But so there's Nasser, second place. I didn't have the volume on, so I don't know if there was a lot of booing or not.
And I asked Sean. I said, "Hey, man, did you ever get an explanation about this?" He was just, no. Same with Paul Dillet at the Olympia. It was great because I was a fan talking to him, but I was like, you want to pick these guys' brains. And he was like, he literally just rolled his eyes and said he threatened Wayne with a bottle. And it was hilarious, right? But it was just, and people don't realize what Tyler does is unheard of. That just blows my mind, right? That would have never been done before. Somebody just coming on explaining the judge's score. Back then it was, this is the score. You guys better take it. It is what it is.
And shut up. Yeah, it was like,
you got no choice, bro. Right? So, and again, the sport, it is more exciting to me, Ron. We have different Olympian winners.
Yeah.
But this was Nasser's really last shot because 98 third, 99, he kept dropping lower and lower, and within a couple of years, I remember one year he had shit coming out of his shoulder on stage. It was just
actually leaking out of his shoulder on stage.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah, and that was just kind of the, and again, this was also Mike Francois' last Olympia because he would get sick, get ready for the Arnold the next year as well. So a lot of guys in the show, bro, it's just, there's so many different plots and subplots with this. You know what I'm saying? Just, I think the most
Flex Wheeler. What happened there?
Dude, it's here. So after the Olympia, Arnold 98, I hung out with this guy named Michael Canberra. I don't know if you heard of him.
Oh, Mike's
right?
from Massachusetts. I know Mike.
So me, Mike, and my buddy went out with Chris Cormier and the chick he was with to a house party after the show. He said the ninja story, like Fleck was just fat. He also said he was high on GHB at the time, but he said Flex got calf implants through the bottom of his feet.
What? No,
dude.
no.
Thank you. But it's just stories like that, man. It's just it was a great era. You miss it, man. Look at Lee Priest hold his own with Dorian Yates. Yeah. You don't see that.
So, man, looking at this, I could definitely make a case for Nasser in this. And like I said, I think the reason, I hate to say this, but like I heard he was like a jerk, like he was kind of an a-hole, a bully, and this and that. I let that sort of influence how I felt about him as a bodybuilder, which I don't do that anymore. Now I just talk about physiques. I don't care if they're, a saint or a friggin' piece of crap. It's whatever. I'm just looking at the physique now. But
right,
this I could definitely make a case. If this were happening today, this exact situation, Nasser would have taken the title, not Dorian.
Dorian might not have been he wouldn't have been second. I mean, he might have been third, right? Like the judging now is so fair, and also to remember, Kevin changed a lot from the pre-judging to final too. So he tightened up a lot. Remember, he would go on to kick ass on that tour in '97 after the show, So, but again, Nasser El-Sonbaty missed out on his one shot. Like a lot of guys had that one opportunity and nailed it because of how it was in that era, the '90s.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that nobody said anything. Nobody would have said anything.
Well, back then we didn't. Back then you got what you got, the results, and you just kept your mouth shut. Sean was kind of persecuted because he was one of the few people who would speak up.
Yeah.
He tried to unionize the guys. He tried to have rotating judges at the Olympia. He really tried to make a lot of changes while he was competing, and I don't think anything got done. Because
all the things we have now is what he was fighting for back then, right? I think we take for granted now that how fair things are. We haven't seen a really bad call, dude, in years. Like maybe the Tampa show with Akeem and Kamal it could have gone either way, right? But it wasn't like, oh my God, like what's going on? So you feel bad for some of those guys back then because they may have lost contracts, and when you hear some of the stories about how Joe was tight with money, and it was a crazy time, and you were out there, dude. I mean, you were in the center of the Mecca, the holy time.
Yeah,
no, I'm saying?
Very, very. I feel very fortunate that I was. But yeah, just to get back, you said people actually make fun of Tyler sometimes, like, oh, I can't wait to hear Tyler's explanation or whatever for this decision. But you know what? Back in the day, there were bad decisions, and you just had to take it with no Vaseline and keep your mouth shut because there was no recourse. And the judges were never held accountable. They never explained why they judged the way they did. There were no podcasts or anything. Nobody put them on the spot. Their word was God. And once these decisions were made, oh, well, you can cry about it, but too bad. Mr. Olympia is keeping his title. So, yeah, I mean, I wish these kids today could see how crappy the judging was back then, how political, how biased it was, and then they would shut the hell up about what they think is bad judging now.
And when you look at some of these guys, when you look in the background, some of these guys are very relaxed. Nowadays, they wouldn't dream of that. They would get caught. There's so many cameras on you now. But back then, look at Jean-Pierre Fuchs in that picture, just kind of relaxing. Paul Dillet over there, just kind of doing Paul. Totally. So it's a different era. But again, I think these physiques, Ron, like this Nasser's physique now, I'm biased, is just as good as some of these guys now, right? Different era, you can't really compare. But you had Nasser didn't win, Sean couldn't win, Flex Wheeler couldn't win, Chris Cormier. Also too, real quick, I don't know if you remember, this is when I first heard about the plasma expanders that some of these guys were supposedly using, that Chad was using, right?
Right.
Because of the diuretic test at the time.
Yeah. Well, I remember, what was it? Was Get Big Board? Was that going back then? Or was it? What was the board? Do you remember? was it Mike? I think it was Mike Morris was using a plasma. He put like a timeline, pictures of him in the hotel room. I want to say he was hooked up to an IV, but don't quote me.
IV. It was an IV. Yes.
And he showed like his leg hour by hour, just like blew the hell up and got veiny. So I guess that's what a plasma expander is.
And again, because think about it. Nasser lost a lot of money the year before, failing the drug test.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on these guys to pass. And the physique, they weren't as dry. But when you look, dude, Paul Dillet had everything you needed to be. Look at that. It's just the posing wasn't there. The muscle separation wasn't there. But he had one of the craziest physiques I've ever seen in person.
100%. When they turned him on, do we have a back shot with him? I don't know if we do, but he really did lack. He lacked in back thickness compared to the rest of his. Oh yeah, no.
Lacked is being kind, bro. It was just, and I don't know. Was it the shoulders were so big, but it just didn't work, and that's all that was missing was that back, bro. It stopped him from being Mr. Olympia.
Oh, if Dillet had a back and he was a better poser, there's no doubt in my mind he could have been Mr. Olympia. But then someone's going to say, well, who's he going to beat? Was he going to be, because as good as these guys were, there was the Dorian era, and then there was the Ronnie Coleman era, and they both stopped some very good people from ever winning the Mr. Olympia, those two men.
And it's interesting now when you hear the podcast about what some of these guys are going through doing these shows. Yeah. Cormier is real open about like what was going on, and even Dorian now, it's interesting hearing, some of the things that they were going through or dealing with the magazines and publicity and, getting contracts. And it wasn't, we saw the glamour in the magazines.
Yeah. Right.
That was just an image, right? Chris Cormier was saying, he was hustling, even though he was a contracted athlete, you still had to hustle. And it's just a different, you don't think that because as we thought, well, me, man, you turn pro, you get a contract with Joe, you move to Venice Beach, you travel the world, you get girls. Yeah. It was that dream that they portrayed. But, there's horror stories about guys, living in the cars and, even listen to some of Nasser's things Milo saying Nasser was doing.
Wow. Really?
It was a lot. It was a lot of like 850 at one time. He was saying it was just, But
let's go to the audience. Let's see what they got to say. I looked at the boxing match. This actually came in way before we started. 3 judges involved. 2 judges are fairly close on scorecards. The others won. Hold on. Janet's calling. Damn it. I got stuff happens, guys. Sorry. I'm going to take myself off speaker. You keep talking for a second.
All right. Simon. So I can't see the live stream, guys. I do. Wait, hold on. Maybe I can't. I don't want to screw this up. Hold on. Oh, crap. I can't see it. Sorry, fellas. Hold on. Comments. Oh, if Lee Peach had a back like Lunsford, would he be had? You know what? Simon won. I don't think so. It was just Lee never had nailed that super dry, crazy condition. So I don't think he would have been Mr. Olympia with a back. It was just the era, dude. It was just it was the era, and it was also it was the judging. Like Lee Priest won some shows. Like he beat Chris in San Francisco, maybe because I don't know. And too, man, it's just I don't know.
It is live double up. Yeah, a lot. Somebody actually, I think, defending Wayne DeMilia, who I keep crucifying here. DeMilia was head IFBB judge. He actually went against Weider sometimes, like when Robbie won '94 Masters Olympia. Weider had Lou's name printed on the check. Really, I don't know.
I don't know. Listen, I was there, bro, and everybody was shocked Lou didn't win that show. I don't know who he pissed off, but they were like, "No, sir."
I mean, if you look at Lou's structure, as he was a monster size-wise and condition.
Yeah.
He did not have much of a V-taper. His structure was not a great structure for bodybuilding. It wasn't.
And back in '94 too, bro, it wasn't the '93 Lou.
Right. Yeah. So this is live. I want to confirm. Yes, this is live. That's how we're able to put these up. Joe Rabel, the way I see it, Nasser destroys Yates in front double, abs and thighs in front relaxed. I give the rest of the poses to Dorian, but overall I think Nasser honestly should have won. See, it's not – people think it's like, you get 1 point for each pose, and that's how that's not how they really do the judging.
Mm.
It's just an overall package you have to determine. There's 2 rounds usually. Now we have 3 because of the confirmation round, but they used to have these rounds, and you added up the numbers and the lowest score. It's still the same thing. Lowest score wins, and you have to make judgment calls, tough judgment calls sometimes. There's Jen. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Happy.
What's up?
No Giles. Giles not here.
Giles. It's late.
Yeah. Double M. They're talking to each other now. So in Nasser's back nuts, he wouldn't blow out his gut, even though he had one. How come today's bodybuilders let their guts hang out with the back? I don't think that's possible, actually, because it's antagonistic.
Yeah, you can't do that. I just tried.
You're flexing your back, your front has to be relaxed. Just like you can't really fully flex your biceps and your triceps at the same time. You can flex one or the other as hard as possible because the other one's stretched.
I think some guys see that. Remember that picture of Phil Heath from the back doing the back double where his stomach's hanging? They think, but who cares? You're not judging your stomach in the back double bicep, though.
I mean, I won't name names, but I mean, I've been to some shows where if you're seated if you're in front and you're a little bit off to the side, as both of us have been more than once, you can really see those.
Yes, you can.
Back shots. It's like, wow.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So, but the judges are dead center. They're looking straight on, so it really shouldn't matter. Okay, Dorian has already admitted he should have lost that contest. I don't know if that's true, but Gary's saying it. I've never seen it. Have you ever seen Dorian admit that?
I haven't ever seen him admit that. Like most of his podcasts are just very like he's just smoking a joint, just chilling. It's great. He's just smoking a joint, bro. It's awesome.
He said like that was my toughest Mr. Olympia ever. I think that's as close as he's ever come to saying. I've never heard him say I shouldn't have won. I didn't deserve to win. I mean,
but listen, dude. If can you imagine if Phil had a torn anything, like it just people don't realize that. Now, even like if you look at Nathan now, the bicep's not super distracting, but you still see it, right? But he had one arm. Like I don't.
He had one arm for his last. I think he only had he injured it in early '94, I believe. I think.
Yeah, he tore it. '94, he tore the biceps. Came in like that year. And listen, me and George White will argue to this day about that '94 Olympia, bro. Like it's great because he sports the Brits. I'm like, George, come on, man, it's not happening. But it's in a symmetry round situation, right? Symmetry is your flow from the overall flow. But again, people don't realize these guys were given straight first in the symmetry round and in the posing round.
Right.
So you hate to say they were judged before they got there, Ron, but I think a lot of these guys back then knew going into a show that who was going to win, right? You knew.
I mean,
you kind of knew what was going on with what was popping. You know what I mean?
So just doing a little math there, Dorian won only 2 Olympias before he tore that bicep. 92, 93. So he won 4 out of 6 Olympias with one bicep completely torn. So, the argument, if you wanted to argue for Dorian, you'd say, well, his overall package was still so great that he was still better than everybody else, even with the torn. But bodybuilding purists would say, like Milos would say, Milos would be like, how do you win a symmetry around with one fucking arm? That's exactly what he would say.
Dude, remember how much of a thing they made about like C-Bum's arm? Like people lost their mind, and it wasn't even like that bad, right? Yeah. So, and they were like, "Oh, he should no," but when you have physiques back then that are just, we look back on it now like, "Oh man," but at the time, bro, it's just you hope one of those guys finally got through, right? Sometimes you were sitting at shows and you're like, I would look at it as how it should be judged and how it was gonna be judged, because you kind of knew what was going to happen, and it was still exciting, right? I loved it.
Yeah.
But now, bro, going to the Olympia now, I got no clue, none.
True.
Like who's going to do anything, and it adds more excitement. Remember, we had to rely on Mitsuru's videos back then after the show.
That's right. But I mean, it's not only more exciting for us as fans. I think it's better for the athletes, the competitors, because now they have hope Nobody goes into the Olympia now saying it doesn't matter how great I look and how bad Mr. Olympia looks, he's still going to keep his title. Whereas back in the old days, I think a lot of them had that mentality going in that they're not like Sean. They're not going to let me win the Olympia. Or Kevin, they're not going to let me win. It doesn't matter how good I look. They're going to have Lee or Dorian or Ronnie. They're going to hold the title because that's how things were done back then. Just want to answer this one.
How many times did they
Skin rolls at the bottom of the back.
have one call out?
Yeah, there were some one call outs for the Mr. Olympia, which is ridiculous. They work the guys. So small skin roll at the bottom of the back, that's just loose skin. It's not conditioning. Some guys have loose skin. He said John did not. No, Sean had beautiful. It's like butter. I think he used a lot of oil of Olay or something.
Yeah.
Nasser was better than Dorian. Sean Ray had sick abs. Hi from UK. Great review. Nice, great time. Oh, I thought once I saw UK, I thought he was going to say Dorian beat him by a mile. But no. Nasser 96, 97, 98, Mr. O. I don't know about that. You would have had him beating Ronnie and Flex.
Jimmy.
Ronnie had Gyno.
No, listen. And yeah, Gyno bad. Things change so fast, bro. Like it just your time in this sport is so limited. You know what I mean? Like he was changing that look. You never get that look again. You know, but like yeah, Ronnie that's a pretty nasty guy, know. But
did Sean Roden have Gyno where he won? I'm trying to remember. I know Franco Colombo won the Olympia with Gyno a couple times.
Oh, did you? It was not pretty. It just Haney 87 he had Gyno.
Yeah.
Like a nice size one. You know what I mean? Yeah. They get it removed. You know what I mean? They all get that removed. It looks unsightly, but it is. You know, so but I don't know. It was just Ron. It was people don't realize how these guys were like gods because we didn't see them. We didn't have access to these dudes, right? Like, so when they came to town for guests, like Mike Francois was just when you would see Mike in the gym, so I would go to Columbus to train. It was just like next level shit. Seeing like the guy that's on the Olympia stage. You know, nowadays it's like there's pros at your gym. There's Bikini Pro in St. Pete. I had no idea, no clue, whoever. You know, so it was just I'm biased about air. Look at his that shape, dude. Sean's shape. Lee Priest held his own with these guys.
Yeah. Well, like you said, if he had a back like Lunsford, I don't think he ever would have been Mr. Olympia, but he would have been. He made top 5 a couple times. He would have been a little higher up. I think his back wasn't his best feature at all, but he was still a tremendous for the guy that was about 210 pounds and he's beating these monsters.
That's what I'm saying. There's no 220 back then. Like they were just hanging with the big boys, beating the big boys. Yeah. You know, so it was weird. Why can they do it back then now?
They could if they wanted.
You know, they could exactly.
Well, I think that the argument is there are some guys that are 212 now who would do very well in the open stage, but most guys who compete in 212 would get lost in the open. They would just get overlooked.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
So it's a good thing because it would discourage a lot of guys who turn pro as like lightweights, middleweights, maybe even some light heavies from ever.
They would leave.
Yeah.
And they just leave the sport. And like they make their way up through the ranks. That's a killer shot.
If we had the internet back then, imagine it would have been a shitstorm. Dorian's back, man. It's hard to get guys off Dorian's back, even in that shot. Someone's gonna.
And Kevin would just go around.
Now someone's gonna shit on Tyler.
So much muscle.
Tyler is not qualified for his job. A guy like Palumbo is more critically around a job. Well, to that I would say,
really,
Tyler has been probably going to pro shows since he was an infant. He's
Yeah.
probably been to 1,000 pro shows. I think his grandfather and his dad had him sitting at the judges' table long before they were letting him judge. They made sure because they knew people were going to say, "Well, that's your kid, of course. That's your grandson. Of course, you're going to just give nepotism. You're going to give him the family business." But they wanted to make sure that he had a very sound education and experience in judging before. And if you listen to his breakdowns, he actually is very, very knowledgeable, very detailed in his analysis. So I'm not going to join in on the shitting on Tyler thing. Sorry.
And work these guys now, bro. Everybody has a chance. He gives everybody a chance to be seen.
Yeah. And this, I disagree with you here, Jimmy. Nothing has changed with the quote unquote judging and corruption. No, I disagree. And I'm not employed by the IFBB Pro League or anything like that. I have no horse in the game, but Mike and I have been around so long that we have a perspective on what things used to be like. Things are much, much better now. I know it's hard to accept, but trust me. I rarely
there's no sponsor dollars, Ron.
When was the last time you left a pro show really upset about the decisions? Like, oh, that was bullshit.
Even at the Olympia, like even though it was tight, but they got it right. They listen. You get like the hardest part of a show is not like 1, 2, and 3. It's 4, 6, 7. That's the hardest, and they get that right. I mean, listen, like I used to crap on the judging years ago, but I got nothing to complain about. Like, it's fair. Like this stuff back then, wasn't fair. Like, there were sponsors back then. They were lots of. There aren't sponsors now. It's not like it was. So, sponsors had I don't say they had their influence, but weeder guys, a lot of weeder guys won.
Well, this is what John, the guy Jimmy's saying that it's corrupt and everything. Exactly what you were saying back then. Weider was Joe Weider's Mr. Olympia. Joe Weider also owned Flex and Muscle and Fitness magazines, but more importantly, he had these guys under contract. Dorian Yates was a Weider athlete, so financially, it was in his best interest to keep Dorian as Mr. Olympia. Nasser, but I think Nasser was an athlete too. But Dorian had a much bigger following, especially through Europe. I really think
in Europe he was huge.
Business had more to do with it back then than it does now. Who the sponsors were?
Way.
Well, I know
dude, listen, like now, but there's money, but the sanction fees are a lot of money now with all the classes. So it's money, size money, but it's a bigger pool. So it's a lot different now.
Right. So
and listen, remember, there's no spray tans back then, people.
Are Nasser's glutes full of site injections at this Olympia? I didn't see that. Did you? See when he turns around.
No, I don't think you would site inject your glute, just regular gear.
Yes. If you're going to site inject means you're trying to bring up a body part artificially, pump it up, make it more voluminous. Why would you do that to your glutes?
Look at the peak on the bicep. The peak on the biceps is insane.
Yeah, his glutes don't look shot up. I don't see any weird things going through glutes.
No.
I do think he had natural bicep peaks, but I think he enhanced it by putting a lot of his gear in there.
Yeah, this is where the shit's come downhill from here. Like the lats got funky too. Remember the lats got all weird?
Yes. I mean he was admittedly heavy user of all the different things used back then. And it caught up to him. I think he didn't even live to see 50. I think he was 45.
No. All that, but dude, all that oil's got to go somewhere. All that, the pumping pose. Remember how big that was? That was huge. That was in Muscle Mag. They were selling that. I had friends that made that. It was what the hell, man?
You remember
just crazy to me now.
Before synthol was a big thing in bodybuilding, the first guy who I ever saw in magazines or anything was a German strongman guy named Manfred Herbel. He always had to do a
Kurt bandana.
Yes.
Yep.
I was on
crushing Coke cans.
I was on a flight to the 95 Arnold Classic. I don't know why he was on my flight, but he was literally, I was on the aisle and he was on the aisle across from me wearing the cutoff flannel shirt. And I'm looking at his arm the whole time, the whole flight, it looked permanently flexed, like he was flexing his bicep, but it was hanging. It was just straight across the armrest. I'm like, what is up with that? And his tricep was all popping out like a freaking basketball. So that was synthol.
And they try to convince us that it was just the arm. Remember the arm training articles he had in Muscle Mag? That was his secret to big arms like that. Oh, that was the advertisement, man. It was just insanity. Just remember that in the group I put that pixie stick. Joe Weider was selling that sugar stick.
Yeah. It was just pure.
Right.
It was literally a pixie stick that was sold as a supplement. Just sugar. Why do we have no adult striations today, Mike? What happened?
Yeah, come on, man. It's a little oily, a little oil slick. But you know, don't they got to put it somewhere, right? It's got to go. It's a lot,
100%.
you know, like.
But that's the thing. Where are you going to put it where it can't be seen? Unfortunately, all they've got on is these little posing trunks. You put everything in your glutes, you're going to have big, huge lumps on the upper outer quadrants of your glutes.
Yeah.
So they rotate. They go shoulder, delt, glute, lat, But if you're pinning 6-10 times a week, it's got to go somewhere.
God.
Andrew Jack looks like
awful now.
Who's better, Andrew Jack or Paul Dillet?
Listen, man. You pictures and videos do not give Paul Dillet any freaking justice to how big this man truly was. I know Andrew's big, right?
Yeah.
But Paul it's hard to describe. I still have the picture of him at the USA sitting there, also shirt on, Ron. It looked like something out of a CGI, bro.
Well, you remember,
and this isn't his best, right?
No. When what was that show where he just came out in silhouette with the smoke and everything? Was that the?
The 93 Arnold, bro.
Dude, that was the freakiest thing I've ever seen.
People gasped. I just gasped. I didn't know what the hell that was. He was really. We hadn't seen somebody like that because remember Lee Haney retired 91, so we hadn't seen this kind of master, with calves and condition, right? And remember the Iron Man. There was no video from the 93 Iron Man to the Arnold. So all of us in Columbus, this is the first time seeing this dude, right? And Andrew, I'm an Andrew Kool-Aid drinker now, bro. But Paul was he was a science project.
He was. And
he didn't do a lot, they said. It wasn't like he was crazy with stuff. And he had legs.
Lee Priest said they lived together for a while, and he saw what Paul used. And he said not only was it not much, he goes, on more than one occasion, either or both of them would forget to take their gear on a certain day. Like it wasn't that important to them. Like, I was supposed to do my shot yesterday. I forgot. There's 13-year-old kids watching this that they have their trend shots like on their phones beeping, an hour before they're not going to miss their shots.
This is training and suffering. Like this is like tuna broccoli cardio, bust your ass training. Like, most of us like 90 minutes at the gym, 2 hours at the gym, training part. It was a different, it wasn't like machines. It was like, okay, who's the incline bench? I need to dumb. Who's in the rack? Let me do my on this day because nobody squats today. You know what I'm saying? It was just you walk in there, you train. Like we left the pager at the counter and we just trained hard with each other, bro. There was no distractions. The chicks train hard too.
People will be like, "What's a pager?" But let's see. This guy says, like I said, the one arm being bad doesn't lose the whole show. Dorian had it. Yeah, you could argue it. I mean, you could argue it. I understand, but
yes, I don't.
You could argue it both ways. It was not a clear win. It was not a clear win at all. You could say that he still had just.
It wasn't a clear win. But he got a perfect score, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
that's crazy.
If this was 2024, I don't think he would win. And if he did win, it would not be. It would certainly not be a perfect score. But I don't think he would even win today. Let's see. Simon says, "I see."
I guess look who's not out there either, Ron.
Who's that? Who?
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, Ronnie Coleman.
Oh yeah,
who wasn't in the pose down.
He wasn't good enough yet.
No.
Yeah, this was the year before.
12 months later, he would just shock out.
So what was he, 8th at this show? 9th?
9th place.
Yeah. So he went from 9th place this year to winning the next year, and then nobody ever beat him again except Gunter that one weird time.
No. Yeah. 12. And that's just kind of, we never, like, of all the people that we've gone into 98, yes, Jody, I agree with you. 100%. But, like, nobody thought Ronnie Coleman's going to be Mr. Olympia. Nobody, if they told you they did, the lion. Ronnie probably didn't. He didn't think he was going to be Mr. Olympia.
Right. I don't know why I got recorded that ad. So Gary Silton says there's a video with Joe Rogan showing the comparison. Says, Also, Joe, yeah, because I think Dorian Yates did go on Joe Rogan, didn't he? He did. Yeah, he lost that show in the picture show. Or is he talking about Joe Rogan said he should have lost? I don't think Dorian ever said he would have lost. I think Joe Rogan was the one, and all respect to Joe Rogan, the #1 podcaster in the world, and all this, but I wouldn't take his word as like a really astute bodybuilding analysis guy looking at physiques. I don't think he's that educated in looking at physiques like even you and I are.
No, he's MMA. If he comes to MMA, I'll listen to what he says. But like when it comes to this,
Kevin was better than Ray in '94. But he's entitled to his opinion. Kevin was better than Ray in '94. He was too big, and Ray was never big enough to beat. What year did you think Kevin was the closest to winning? Probably 2000, was it?
2000, I think Kevin was. Listen, Kevin. Oh, Kevin was close, or 2000 because remember Ronnie was a little off that year.
Yeah,
but the '94 Arnold Ron, Kevin was, I think, the best I've ever seen him at the '94 Arnold. He was probably about 15 pounds heavier from the '94 Arnold to the '94 Olympia. He literally morphed in a different person. But listen, if Dorian wasn't the reigning Mr. Olympia '94, he would have been third place, in my opinion. Yeah. That's just my opinion. And then that same thing, Aaron Baker got screwed. So remember, Roman Block got like screwed.
That's right. Sorry, Nasser wasn't going to win from Dorian. Okay. Derek didn't deserve to beat Hadi last year. That was a ridiculous decision. Totally politic motivated. No, I mean, to me, it was a tie. It was a tie, but you can't have a tie.
Yeah.
If
they
Hadi
both were good, bro. Like
Hadi he wasn't off by any means. Don't misquote me, but the way Hadi looked at this Arnold, I think he would have beat that Derek. A lot of people believe that. But Derek's had another, he's going to have another year to get better. So we'll see what happens. You miss the 90s bodybuilding? Yeah, dude. Me and Mike really miss it. Let me tell you.
Me too, Sean.
No one had Dorian's green.
Seriously, bro.
Yeah, as much as we talk about the 90s condition, Dorian still had a condition that was another level from all the other guys, even though condition was pretty strong in the 90s.
You didn't you had to see this guy in person to appreciate that level of hardness he had. Because remember, like magazines weren't like they were, pictures weren't like they were now, right? When you see that, it's just a different level of graininess. And it's hard, it's pretty, bro, but it's a lot of fucking muscle. You know what I mean? It's cute whatsoever with Ben, but goddamn, man, like, and it takes you back because these are the legends of bodybuilding, like Arnold Classic winners, Grand Prix winners, Ironman winners. It's just really two guys changed the course of the sport.
True. Like, question: would Andrew Jack and Hadi, do you think Andrew Jack and Hadi would have been top guys in the 90s?
Hadi possibly, because I think Hadi's good enough for any era. Like I think Hadi's good. Andrew, I don't know, man. Like
I think he needed.
Hey, Ron, we're not even talking about Mike Francois.
No. Oh, there were plenty of other guys. Vince Taylor,
Francois Fuchs.
Jeez, Vince Taylor was very very strong, consistent guy back in those days. Porter Cottrell, Erlen Decker. We had a lot of good guys. Cormier, my God, Chris Cormier.
You know what I mean? Aaron Baker, and those guys weren't even like killing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it took Cormier a minute to beat Chris Cormier.
Jurassic Paul would destroy Jack. Well, I do think Paul at his best would beat Andrew Jack. Yes, I do think so. The year that he had to be dragged off the Arnold stage because he froze. Yeah, he looked awesome that year. That he froze.
94, he froze up.
But up until then, he was looking crazy.
For what he showed us.
Oh, dude.
That's damn Lasix.
Yeah, you were there. You were at that show.
Yeah. Dude, I was like, I didn't know what was going on. And they just like came on. You're like, holy shit. And you couldn't call. You had to wait to get back to my buddy's house to call somebody. It wasn't like I could just, hey, this is on. It was insane.
This is an odd comment, son, but fellow competitor saying Walker looked beatable backstage. Well, backstage isn't the stage, so it doesn't matter what you look like backstage. It's totally different lighting and Nasser was massive. Dave
That's
Thomas.
great.
What's he saying? Nasser had everything except for Dorian's strongest point in his back, of course, if you'd ask Sean Ray. He was the uncrowned two-time Mr. O. Well, I mean, Sean's got a legit argument. Whether you love Sean or hate him,
There we go.
I got to say the guy had a tremendous physique. He was very consistent. He was top 5 for
Complete physique, man.
12 years in a row. I think he was in the top 5 or 13.
Yeah, that's unheard of. And he talked back, but he backed it up, right? So, and it was entertaining back then, right? Like it's something he rubbed some people the wrong way. You know, it is what it is, but it's just that was fun reading McGuff's column with Sean's talking shit and Kamali's talking shit. Awesome. Kept us entertained.
Those are good times, man. Vinny Caballero, Milos in the background.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, there were guys in the back that never even got these first call-outs that were pretty damn great. I'll put up.
Ronnie Coleman didn't get that first call off.
No, he didn't. No, supposedly when he won the Olympia, he didn't get first call-out. That still seems really odd to me.
No, he was losing to, you know, he caught up and had to make up ground, which I don't know. You know, with the judge, how the judging is, they may have realized they may have screwed up by like not putting him in first place.
This guy's being persistent. So good natural physique, 33 years old. If I get on gear now, to have a chance for good bodybuilding. I have no idea. I mean, good natural physique doesn't mean you're going to be a great. These guys are the genetic elite of the elite. I don't know what you would look like on gear. A lot of guys who look good naturally assume they're going to take gear and they'll be winning Mr. Olympia within like a week or two. Most time that doesn't work out that way. So I'd have to see what you look like. And even then, I don't know what you're going to look like on gear. Some people respond much, much better than others to gear. So you might put like 10 pounds on, you might put on 100 pounds. I have no idea. Sorry if I was being
And think about it, like Sean Ray and Lee Priest, they look great when they just hit the weights. They look great, right? They're the genetic elite. So, you know, good luck.
I need to say this about Dorian because he wasn't even able to train the last 3 weeks. He couldn't touch a weight. He was no weight training. He couldn't pose. He was just staying on his diet and cardio. And this is still to go through that and still show up looking this great. That's pretty damn amazing, I think.
And because of no media, he was able to keep it on the wraps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think Dorian would have been like on social media. As like some of these guys. It's just he just had a different mentality, man. It was just a different. I think that's what made him better. Like he was just a different. Him and they were different guys. I mean, if I would have torn my tricep, he would have been on dieting still. I would have been like just a water buffalo.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the guy was a warrior.
Yeah.
He probably shouldn't have done this show. Really thinking about it, he had also been hospitalized like 6 weeks before this with internal bleeding, and they put him on like antibiotics and stuff. So his body was just saying, "Screw you, I'm going home." Basically,
it was like, you know, nowadays I think it's a different now because people now would be like, "Screw this, my health." You know what I'm saying? It's a different, you know, it's just a different time, right? Like, but that warrior mentality is celebrated. Like we celebrate that, you know. But it's a slippery situation, man. You know what I mean?
Simon, I don't know what you're asking. This is a really strange phrasing. How do these bodybuilders get on today? Get on? I don't know what you mean, Derek. Until you clarify that, I don't know what you mean.
Wow.
Derek had baseball-sized bumps in both his lats. They weren't baseball size. His legs are way weaker. So
they were like lymph nodes. They said, right?
Yeah, it was odd, but I mean, I didn't even notice it at the show. Did you?
No, I didn't until somebody pointed out in pictures the next day. No
right.
clue.
I was like, oh yeah, but when I was watching the show, we had pretty damn good feet.
No, it wasn't very good seat. Didn't see anything. People would like to nitpick, bro. Like
Levroni's legs and back had atrophied compared to his legs were starting to go. Levroni's legs,
yeah.
94, 95. I give it too much size.
And he stopped training. He wouldn't train. He wouldn't train for half a year. He would just like go from nothing to like Superman in like 12 weeks.
I mean, I remember one time seeing him I think he came out to New York for Night of Champions or something in May. And I saw him. I was like, oh no, he's so screwed for the Olympia because he looked like he's a shadow. He had lost so much muscle. And of course, at the Olympia, he was like full blown Kevin Levrone again. So he was able to do that.
It's insanity, dude.
Back in the days, athletes pinned their delts and still managed to try to delts. Yeah, I guess. I mean, what do you think is going on? Just they're putting too much oil in their delts? I don't know. Stay on topic, guys.
Back then, they didn't take a lot of stuff either, right? There weren't, the stuff. I think in the '90s, stuff was a lot better. You didn't need like 5 parabolin a week. You know what I mean? Like
Dorian did 2 parabolin, 76 milligrams each. That's it. Nobody believes it. Well, on top of tests and a couple other things, but thinks Jimmy.
That just shows the respond.
Well, it was all farmer grade back then. It was better quality gear. There's no doubt. We're not saying that's not true. Nasser El-Sonbaty Flex 98. I don't know about that. I don't know. I think Flex looked pretty great in 98. Oh boy, I hate Derek.
Like 2 points away from winner.
Derek needs to retire. Wow.
Dude, imagine if Derek gets like 4 in a row, people will lose their mind. They just hate. It's a dip because they have voice. Remember, we couldn't talk. Write a letter. We couldn't say this. We had to go write a letter. My thumb they sucked.
Right. Oh, I mean, we didn't have a way to express ourselves. Gear will add another 10, 20 kg of muscle. That's not pounds. Well, in fact, so 10 pounds is 22 pounds. There's no set formula of how much you're going to gain on steroids. I've seen some people who barely gained any muscle. They just got a lot of side effects and gained water. Other people blew up and put on a shit ton of muscle. There's no way to know until you do it. So I'm not encouraging you guys.
I had a friend he would take SOS.
You take what?
He would take SOS to get pimples. He would take Cessna to get he would get strong shoulders and pimples. That's it.
Yeah. Let's see. How do you see small deal with the 90s dudes? He's what, 5'5"? He's got conditioning. Yeah, he's about 5'5". Jackie's still green. A lot of people are really obsessed with the height of these guys. Like someone was messaging me.
I don't know why is that nowadays.
They're like, Derek's supposedly 5'7", and Hottie's about. I said they're not 5'7". Like I'm down to 5'7.5", and I'm still looking downward at them. So they're not 5'7".
They're both exactly 5'6".
Yeah. What's the doctor saying?
They're obsessed with that shit. I don't know.
What are you down to?
I'm 5'7". I was actually 5'7", so I might have been like 5'8". I was shocked. I thought I was 5, like all the time.
Well, you know you were 5.
So me, I'm like 5'7".
Yeah, but when you were younger, you knew you were 5'8". Right? You were measured.
No, I thought I was 5'6" this whole time. Oh, no, what the fuck?
Oh, because I
should have played basketball still.
I was 5'8" at my tallest, and then it just started. I think around age 40, I started coming down. Now it's 5'7.5". So
it's crazy.
Dave Thomas, there's too much insulin.
But it was all said done.
He says we don't see the grainy look because of all the insulin use, puffy faces. We don't. That is true. We still see guys who are in shape and they still have a full face. Have you noticed that?
You don't death face anymore. Remember we go to shows.
Yeah, we used to try to judge the condition by the faces before we saw them take the sweats off. You froze on me, Mike. So I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep talking until you come back. Vince Terra looked like Quentin now. Vince Terra was better than Quentin. Where would Dorian in those black and white photos finish to compete today? Oh, I think Dorian in those black and white pictures from a few weeks out from 93 Olympia, he'd beat everybody right now. He'd beat everybody that's competing right now. The Real Report's going to hop on gear soon. Oh, you're back? Okay.
I'm back.
Well, we got a guy who's we've helped convince to go on gear, apparently. So be careful, dude. Please just be careful.
Dude, you know what's funny? What? People nowadays are so open about gear. Like, it's crazy how it was so secretive. Like, we had a little clique. But now, like, people, like, some dude at the gym goes, "You take gear before?" I'm like, "Oh, were you a cop?" Get away from me, bro.
You know what's funny is A few years ago, the social media influencers used to all lie and say they were natural, even though they were on gear. And now it's the cool thing to just say, I'm on a grandma trend, and they all have like trend in their names, and they show themselves injecting, and they're holding up bottles, and that's like they're making gear the cool thing.
Yeah, okay. Hello, DEA. What the fuck is up, people?
Alan Minch, Dorian dominated the back shots. Nasser, everything else. Sean was amazing. So dwarfed. Yeah, I agree with that. Both men and persons with his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean was just didn't have the size in this particular show. Is it Chad's influence which caused No, I'd say there were guys with the death face long before Chad Nichols was coaching people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
Chad kind of changed the game, bro. He came there and like his guys just started winning, and it was just, that he got those big guys in shape, and it was just once he started getting Ronnie in shape, people kind of took notice what Chad was doing.
Well, coaching was a thing. You had guys like Aceto had already been coaching Cutler, and there were a few other people, but until Chad was like this rock star coach, coaching wasn't something that was talked about. Like, who's your coach? Who should coach him? What coach should they go to next? You never heard stuff like that. These guys are arguing about their height. Dude, we don't know centimeters here anyway, me and Mike. So we barely know kilograms. We only know kilograms. We know kilos, the weights, the plates. That's the only reason we know that. Judge Spector, you guys are arguing back and forth. Yeah, we're staying on topic, guys. So Paul Bartlett getting ready for. We should do a board gossip show. Nah, I don't want to do a gossip show. I leave that to them.
People are sensitive now too.
Yeah. Why'd you talk about me getting busted or beating my wife, or how dare you? I don't want to do that.
Oh my God. We all know about it anyway, dude, so relax.
So would the physiques of the 90s bodybuilders be better than today's bodybuilders? Some of them would be. The top guys, I think, would be beating most of the top guys today, but there's some guys competing today that I think would hold their own and still be beating. I don't shit on this generation. I think we have some phenomenal guys with the Olympia now in the Arnold. I hope we never come across as those cranky old guys who think everyone sucks now. In the 90s is when all the great bodybuilding around. No, we're not. We're still huge fans.
We just did. They were just a collection. Oh yeah, I love these guys. They're awesome, but it was just a collection of really good guys for about 10 to 12 years that all had physiques who could have been Mr. Olympia, right? Like that era, that kind of thing won't be seen anymore. Like, listen, some of these guys now could be Mr. Olympia, but these were some of the best. It was just the right time, the right money, the right physiques, everything in the 90s kind of made it the perfect storm of bodybuilding shows, ton of sponsorships, it was perfect.
You just read my mind. I was going to say a perfect storm because that's what it was. That talent pool was just, we never saw that again. You just happen to have all those guys with awesome genetics and work ethic at the same time. It wasn't because they were doing anything special. And I don't think they really trained that much harder. These guys train very hard today too. I don't want to shit on these guys. They don't train hard. You don't look like these guys look without training hard. I don't care what you say. Come on.
No.
Parabol strong is a big story on the package. Veterinary use only. Well, a lot of stuff we use as bodybuilders is not for human use. Someone told me equipoise. Yeah, equipoise. They said it was original. No, equipoise was made for horses. Why would it be called equipoise? Equus.
Horses.
Yeah, and trend was made for cattle.
Yeah, the old EQ had there was like the yellow and white bottle. It was like a big jug, a horse on it.
You're talking about Laura Ballin, right? Laura Ballin?
Yes.
No,
not the regular, the real EQ. Laura Ballin was like that cheap 50 milligram dirty crap.
I used to get that. It's from Mexico. It had a picture of a horse, goat, and a cow, like in silhouette on the label, and it was 50 milligrams per milliliter.
50.
You had to put so much of that shit.
Dude, listen. But yeah, it was like just it's like 3 cc's, but it was awful.
Yeah. Paul Bartlett, he lost an inch between 30 and 40. He's down to 6'5". Just kidding. I know he's like 6'2". He's a tall dude. Simon, height matters because we compare guys.
Good problem.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really compare bodybuilders to different heights because it's physique. Guys can be taller and have worse physique. I mean, tallest pro bodybuilder.
Almost 5'2".
Tallest one was what's his name? Arnold's friend, German dude, Ralph Moeller. 6'7".
Yeah.
Horrible bodybuilder. Horrible. I can't believe he even turned pro.
Terrible.
Great actor. Loved him in Gladiator. Shit bodybuilder.
Yeah, not so much bodybuilding, bro.
These guys are
so tall.
Centimeters and Air Force Ones.
What is the
hip replacement made him a half inch taller? Oh boy, that's Caleb. Caleb from Swing Slammer on MD. Remember? We always
no shit. What's up, dude? Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, so this is Simon makes a good point. Everyone who has a good physique looks great on their own. The problem is on a stage. Now you're next to 10, 20, 30 other guys who all look great. So now we start nitpicking and saying, oh, wait a minute. This guy's got wide hips. This guy's got no back. This guy's got short legs. This guy's got no calves. Now you start noticing the flaws when you have something to compare them to. On your own, you're not going to be noticing those things.
And it's not what we see on Instagram or Facebook either. It's the lighting's not the same. It's just a totally different look, man.
Jimmy says only people that have potential to become professional should take gear.
Yeah.
I've heard that sentiment, but people are adults and they're going to do what they want to do. So Dorian won if you just look at the 7 compulsories, 1 2 back poses, country mile, 1 the front lat spread, side triceps, side chest was close. I don't know. I could argue this both ways. So I've seen videos
you could, but
what's that? Go ahead.
No, I said Nasser. I think this Nasser's condition was just better. It was just condition.
Yeah. It was just the bicep on Dorian in the midsection for me. It killed his look this year. I was a huge Dorian fan. I still think he looked phenomenal in most of his Olympia wins. That 93 Olympia with the black and white with the black socks a few weeks from. I wish we could have all seen that on the Olympia stage. I think that would have been one of the craziest physiques to ever step on a stage in history, but we never got to see it. Wait, I can be a moron at times. Nasser's never
iconic photos.
Well, he had his glutes in there.
Yeah.
I'm not a moron.
I just disagree with that one.
So Nasser, the only parts of Nasser that weren't really conditioned at this show were the shoulders and the arms, and I think that's because he had a bunch of oil and shit in him. Something was in him.
Yeah, they had the bloofy stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm a huge Dorian fan. I think Dorian was a master of conditioning, so I'm not shitting on Dorian Goodman. Alberto Montejel. People aren't being hypocritical. It's pure, said Ryan Johnson, old school guys. Best commenter, Jim Groves, fella. If you're on a cycle and totally natty, that's true. Thanks, guys. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate it very much. What else? 2 back poses of front double bicep. He didn't have one of those double biceps. Ooh, true story. Well, man, I'm going to wrap. We've been doing this for over an hour, Mike. I've taken up a lot of your time today. It's my wedding anniversary.
Oh, no shit, bro. All right.
33 years.
Oh, yes, bro. I forgot. Happy anniversary, bro. 33 goddamn years, man. That's crazy.
Woo. So it was actually the same day as 1991 USA Championships that Matarazzo won was today in 91. Same day.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's why. Damn, bro. Were you guys doing anything special?
Yeah, we're going out to dinner and stuff. But that's the only reason I wasn't at that USA. I would have been there because we did cover it. Lose Weight, American Muscle at USA. And I wanted to see it badly because I knew Mike. Yeah, it was a good reason. I was back a couple days later. Last week, try to get Paul Baxendale on. Okay, I'll try. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Dorian's old training partner would make a great interview. Sure.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm going to wrap it up. This has been going on for quite a while. Appreciate all you guys who joined in the chat, because a lot of times I make these posts on social media trying to promote the broadcast, and people just give their little 2 cents on the post. Like, no, I want you to watch the video. No. But what are you going to do? Anyway, okay. I'm not going to say don't post on my things. Watch my video. But anyway, Mike, I thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Loved it.
This would have been a lot less fun and informative without you today. So Thank you so much, bro.
Had a blast. Yes, sir. Watch out for ninjas out there.
That's what I want to talk to you about. So stay on the line, ninjas. But everybody in the U.S., be careful on the 4th of July with the fireworks, especially the drinking and driving, all that good stuff. Stay safe.
Yes.
Have an awesome weekend. And from Mike Cox and Ron Harris. Oh, wait, I want to show the banner thing so I can tell people. Yeah, I want you all to subscribe, like, share, and ring that bell, too, of course. It's important. I want people to subscribe to the channel if you like what you're seeing. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. See you right here next time on the Ron Harris Muscle Channel. Peace.
Peace.